Hello, welcome back to Unveiling University. My name is Carly Philbrook and I am a third year secondary education major at the University of Maine in Orono. Today, we are uncovering the truth about getting a job during your college years. This video will be mostly based upon my experiences and what I've heard from others. So we're going to start by talking about on-campus jobs. These jobs are very conveniently located because they're on campus, so you can just walk to it from your dorm, or it can fit nicely in between your classes, and they're usually very understanding that you are a student first. This means that your work schedule most likely fit really well with your academic schedule, and they will be understanding if you need to take a shift off in order to study, as long as you're not calling out last minute. It can also be a great place to meet other students. There are a few potential problems with working on campus, the main one being that they're often minimum wage or at least not highly paid positions. There's also a lot of competition for the jobs because it is very convenient to work on campus, so a lot of people would like to. Some of the positions available on campus, at least at UMaine, I'm not sure about other colleges, but I can only imagine that they hire similar positions. You might work with admissions, you might be able to work as a lab assistant, you might be able to work as a teaching assistant, you can work in the bookstore, in the dining facilities, perhaps with your athletics staff, in the library, as a tutor, or as an RA in the dorms. An important consideration is that some on-campus jobs only accept students with federal work study, so this is something to watch out for. If you have work study, you may want to apply for those jobs specifically because there will be less applicants, but if you don't want to waste your time and theirs trying to apply to jobs that only accept federal work study. So how do you get a job on campus? I believe that a lot of university employers will attend new student orientation where they will pass out applications and talk to interested students. I know that that's where I got my application to work at the bookstore. You can also go probably during the first week to the places you're interested in working at to see if they're hiring. To see if you can get an application. A note is that many of these employers on campus will understand that you may not have a lot or maybe even any work experience, and a lot of them will still hire you. For example, I'd never worked before I went to college and I got hired at the bookstore, no problem. Mostly because I was local and could work in the summer, but we do hire a lot of people. So, as I just mentioned, I do work at the bookstore, and that job, I do really like it. It's really chill, especially during the summer when there's like nobody. But I do get a small raise every year, so I'm no longer just making minimum wage, which is nice. I do have another job on campus as well. I am a Maine Learning Assistant, so it's a grant that UMaine has that allows undergrad students to work and get paid in STEM classes. Because I want to teach math, I am lucky enough to work in an intro to calc class, and so I work within the actual class. It's 3 days a week for an hour, and then I do math lab hours, so we have a little walk-in tutoring center on campus, and that's called our math lab. And I also have a meeting with all the instructors and other MLAs every week. This year I'm actually going to be working in 2 of the math classes, so I probably won't have many hours in the math lab, which I'm kind of sad about, but it should be good. And I mean, it was my choice because I have a lot of flexibility with choosing when I want to work and fitting it into my awkwardly long breaks that I sometimes have, because as a commuter student, I'm not driving all the way back home in between classes. So that wraps up on-campus jobs. So we're going to talk a little bit about off-campus jobs. I've never had one, so I'm not speaking from personal experience, but mostly about what I've heard and, a few things that I just know. Off-campus jobs have the benefits of potentially paying more than minimum wage. I mean, a lot of places around where I live are short workers and are offering great incentives to potential employees. So there's a good chance that you could make a little bit more than you would on campus. There may also be less competition, especially if you go maybe a town over from your university where less people might want to travel. And there are usually a lot more job opportunities to choose from. Some disadvantages of working off campus include traveling, which takes time and money and some vehicle, whether it's public transport or your own car. And sometimes they're just less flexible with scheduling because they need people for certain shifts. And if you, as like the new employee, you might get stuck with those shifts, which could be difficult. So if you don't have a car and your campus is an easily walkable distance to other places of employment, I think you can comfortably limit your options to an on-campus job at least. Another consideration is trying to work within your field of study. And I know at UMaine we have a lot of research opportunities, and a few teaching opportunities too. And there's a lot of local K through 12 schools that people can work in, including probably like social work. Nurses, I know they have to get internships and do practicals. So sometimes it is part of your coursework, and usually those are going to be unpaid opportunities, the course ones within your major. And some other jobs that you're looking for outside of your required curriculum, they can still be unpaid internships. For example, my sister, she's studying forensic science, so she was trying to get an internship at the Maine crime lab in Augusta, which would have been unpaid. So of course, these opportunities will look really great on your resume, but they're not going to be so great for your wallet. So if you are looking for more opportunity rather than money, this is a great option for you. But if you really are needing the money for perhaps rent, to work on paying your bill, you might really want to consider, even if it's not necessarily related to your field of study. For example, I work at the bookstore, which is not at all related to education. Well, I mean, we sell books, but you might want to consider something that's outside of your field of study. So in review, you might want to get an on-campus job, which is conveniently located and tends to be flexible while it doesn't pay well and there's a lot of competition. You might want an off-campus job, which may pay more, have less competition and more variety, but may be less flexible and cost you in travel time and money. Yeah, so that's all I have for you today about getting a job during your college years. So hopefully you feel that this was helpful. And if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them down in the comments below. And thank you for watching as we unveil university every step of the way.